get out there and let's support peace. We must stop exterminating one another. We must stop all of this madness because at the end of the day, we have only ourselves to blame. We must have a do or die attitude to our street movements to rebuild our culture and to create a new lasting legacy of peace.
Yes, London, we're back. It's the doctor's surgery. We do it each and every Tuesday morning from 8 until 11. We come with what we call Britain's first Black Current Affairs show. We bring you all the information that's taking place in the news that's pertinent to our social media or international or national media. That's pertinent to us as a people. There was a few bits over the past week, but we focused on the ones that we felt that are of reasonable credence. There's still a lot going on around the Black Lives Matter movement. There's still a lot going around the legislative processes, but nothing concrete for us to formulate a true discussion around it as yet. So, we watch the space so that perhaps next week or in a future show we can debate on those matters. But over the past couple of hours, we've been talking about COVID and the second lockdown. One of the things that we didn't say in relation to COVID and the second lockdown is that, are we experiencing, for lack of a better term, right now, social engineering? Is that something that we're seeing right now? With social engineering, the public aren't consulted from the upper echelon of society. These the council leaders are taking instruction from the powers above and so forth, and there's no public um, input. And that's kind of like the policies of communist China. Is everyone trying to adopt this model because communist China moved so fast, so quickly? Because they didn't think communist China would get to where they are now for another 10, 20 years. So they did it in a third of the time that they were meant to have done it. The whole aim was that communist China would be one of those tiger economies from the East that would take over by 2030, 2040, or 2050. But with all that's happening, communist China has taken over already in terms of the dynamics of things, and they've done this through social engineering. Creating cities where there was once none within a matter of a couple of years, and so forth. And we can see that in London now, where there's a lot of development taking place that had no true public consultation. The public weren't consulted. The public were notified. And in the same sense, COVID-19, there's a lot of no public consultation taking place, where they're now talking about Parliament being sovereign and they were voted in by the people, so they're acting on behalf of the people. So there's a clear discrepancy there in terms of what should and shouldn't be taking place from Parliament to the parliamentarians. There's a lot of issues going on right there right now, but there's no public input. Another matter with COVID. So, the mayor from Manchester seems to at least be trying to get some money into the pocket of people and not making them not far poorer. If London's locked down again, are we going to be impacted financially? Because we know that our mayor is a blithering idiot. Sad Sadiq Khan, Sadiq Khan, he's you get me, Sadiq Khan. I sound like Michael Jackson doing it. Not Michael Jackson, Michael Blackson. You know what I mean? He's an idiot. I don't think he knows what he's doing. So I'm just harsh against him, right? So would he have stood up for us common folks in London, similar to how the Manchester mayor stood up and asked for more? Or would we be in this financial hardship all on our own? You know, it's good. We have to ask those questions because they want to increase the congestion charge all the way up to the North Circular. For those who don't know, no, the charge is all the way up to the North Circular simply because the man's made TFL bankrupt. Jeez, man. You know, I'm sure he just gave all the money to his friends in contracts and stuff. But yeah, that's another debate, another topic. You get me? Um, well, yeah, the worst mayor that I have ever known. But anyway, back. Let me get back on topic. So yeah, so you know, the issue with this is that there's a lot of things taking place. They're closing off roads, saying that they're encouraging cycling, but in essence, are they just filtering traffic to pass CCTV cameras so they can monitor and control? You know, all these are good things. You know, you have to ask those questions because there ain't no one riding. They've created cycle lanes everywhere, creating congestion everywhere, and we're supposed to be reducing pollution and congestion. You know, this is one of the craziest things I've ever seen. Have the councils got control over their own councils? Are all these councils just a bunch of lackeys that do everything that they've been instructed to do from on high without even giving feedback to say no, that wouldn't make sense for my area, it would be just counterproductive. You know, you now go around the area and you're seeing cycle lanes. Who rides around here? Ain't no rich white folks around here. It's working class white folks. And the ones that do have money, they drive. I don't see them riding. Yeah, so it's all a bunch of foolishness, you know, all a bunch of foolishness. I'm not saying people don't ride, but the amount of people that you see riding doesn't warrant for the whole infrastructure to be changed right across several boroughs in this area or right across London when you only see one cyclist every hour or two and they've been dedicated a whole lane and then you're stuck in traffic for hours on end. It's something is afoot, as the saying goes.
So the bus lanes 24 hours as well.
And the bus lanes going 24 hours because they're trying to generate money by catching people going in the bus lanes and speeding up. So they're trying to say, oh, now they're trying to make the buses faster. Yeah, right. I'm telling you, Sadiq Khan has been the worst mayor that this city has ever seen. The worst. The worst. So bear that in mind. You know, we didn't mention that, but that's because simply we ain't getting no callers. People are just listening. We're gonna wrap up early today, more than likely. We also talked about Ice Cube and his support for Donald Trump and the reasoning around that in the sense that Ice Cube is simply what's the word? Um, Going for the best package possible. And last but not least, we discussed the Dominic Samuels versus Sasha Johnson debate and the nuances around that. We spent some time discussing that. If you got any of questions you want to ask in relation to any of those subject matters or anything that you want to add, the number is 0753 996 8143. 0753 996 8143. One last time for the money, 0753 996 8143. So last but not least, we're going to spend a little time before we wrap up early discussing about Black women. Um, what do Black women want? What is the ideal society for a Black woman? Where do Black women get the biggest fights and struggles in this society? I don't know. I cannot say, and I cannot add to, and I cannot take away from. We have to ask you guys. What is it that would be ideally the scenario for a Black woman? Now, as my producer is a Black woman, I'm going to throw her into the hot seat first. If you guys want to help her, you know what I mean, 0753 996 8143. I'll give it again, 0753 996 8143. Because it's pertinent and crucial that we all can have the understanding, that we can all have that understanding about the struggles of the sisters or the good stuff that the sisters are going through. We have a live caller? Caller, you're live. What's your name? Where you calling from?
How
you doing, Ade?
I'm fine. Just a quick thing. I just want to say, Yeah, I do agree with this whole thing with the IQ statement that he made regarding, his dance. I don't believe that any particular ethnic group belongs to any particular political party.
Exactly.
He's come up with a set of proposals which the Republican Party, from what I understand, it has accepted some of those proposals. And so he decided to work with them. It's not a case whereby he has to work with Democrats or he has to work with Republicans. He's going for whoever he is that he reckons is able to further some of the proposals that they put together.
Now he actually got input from both parties, and I think the best feedback was from the Republicans in terms of what they proposed that they could do. So he decided to lean to that side. But both parties came at him and asked him, and he did exactly the same on both sides. But the Republican Party came back with the best suggestion. But the thing is, a lot of people are calling him a sellout simply because he wants the best and he's looking at the best feedback, as opposed to a watered down, lackluster feedback from Sleepy Joe. I'm being Donald Trump now. Go ahead.
After the election, whereas the Republicans are already starting to enact some of those proposals. That's the difference with it. So basically, he's doing what is possible at the moment in time. What is being worked at the moment in time.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, the system is there. You need to understand how the system works.
Yeah.
And then to be able to use it to our advantage, which other groups have done that we haven't managed to do effectively. So, he's basically working the system the way it should be worked. So I want to say this out.
Okay. No, I definitely agree with you 100%. Have you seen the debate about Dominique and Sasha Johnson?
I heard a little bit about it. I am going to check that out properly later on today when I get a bit of time. To do that. But what were you saying? That both are adequate representatives, or?
I don't think what I think is that with representation of us, I wouldn't say they both aren't. Who am I to say that? I'm saying in terms of the rhetoric that was coming out from Dominique's mouth, I felt the rhetoric was dangerous. It's not encompassing of experiences that she hasn't had, and simply because she hasn't had that experience, for her it became non-existent, and that's a dangerous philosophy. A lot of us are brought up in different ways in different areas, and you won't have those experiences. It doesn't mean that because you were mollycoddled or because you were brought up in a little better situation where you got those advantages that you speak of, you think that it's going to fall suit for everyone, and then you start to become righteous and judging everyone by that banner and saying that these things aren't right because black people can lift themselves, and all that jargon and rhetoric without understanding the experiences of people that have gone through the complete polar opposite. And as a result, when people maybe
just trying to gas up to stay and do certain things,
yeah.
That's the way I kind of initially, that's my thoughts were on the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then the other people were mentioning, what do black women want? I think black women want to be happy. They want to have a good life and be happy.
No, I mean, we all want. We all want to be happy, but I'm sure if we ask them what they want, right, they won't just simply say to be happy. I'm telling you, there's let's start with the producer. He's just next to you, producer. Let's be you. No, well, that's something that she's going to answer in a minute. You know what I mean? She's going to go into it from her perspective, but obviously there's going to be a wider field aspect of things as well. And I'm hoping we get a few female callers in just to have their take.
I think that will summarize whatever it is they're looking for, whether it's for financial independence or respect or something else or good man. It's to really make them happy at the end of the day. So, but yeah, they can break that down into different areas that they see fit.
All right. Respect her there, yeah.
Okay.
All right, cool. All right. Do we have a couple text messages here? We have a text message. Text message reads. Oh, I don't get that. White men sell everything to the Indian. Okay, 746. I don't understand what that means. I'm not sure what that means. Perhaps I said something that triggered that. So, what would you say, my good producer? What would you say is from your perspective, where you feel things need to change to better adhere to the understanding of Black women and getting Black women to a point where they can enjoy the successes of life and society as best as your male counterparts?
Personally, I feel like it's a space for mutual respect with Black men, especially in the media. There's a fundamental attack on the Black woman's image, demeanor, yet and still, with other women, those same features or traits are demonstrated, but yet they're uplifted. I think it's just having a mutual understanding where we both respect each other, not even necessarily have to date each other, but we both respect each other and understand we're trying to progress in life.
So it's not about relationships, you're saying. It's
It's not
just
about
about having that recognition and respect for the image.
Yeah.
How do you feel the Black woman's image has been tarnished in today's society? And saying that growing up in school, did that contribute to any kind of negative or positive impact?
The Black woman's image has been tarnished in regards to her features, her hair type, her, I guess, her demeanor is always seen as aggressive. It's always seen as a negative. It's never seen as she's trying to get by or she's trying to better herself. It's always seen as a negative attribute. What were your other question?
Has that impacted, what did that impact on you growing up in school or in general society?
Of course, because whenever I had something to say, it was always seen as, oh, she's just whining, or it's just she's being aggressive, or it's always attributed. It's never put forward as you have a valid point. It's always you were whining.
So you feel that Black women have been forced? I mean, if we use that debate between Sasha and Dominique, right? I felt Dominique came across as, and I don't mean this in a negative, because it is what it is. I felt because of her eloquence in speech and her mannerisms, that she felt that she was somewhat better than Sasha because she had a lot more understanding of white folks. That's how it came across. So do you feel that Black women that adapt and portray themselves as white or having that white understanding, do you feel they're in a better place when they behave out of character, for lack of a better word?
I feel like the portrayals, because that is deemed as the right way of acting. So because Sasha, she was very firm in who she was, it can be seen that she's being rebellious because she's not complying to what is seen as the right way of approaching a debate. So
all right, text message. Let's look at this text message. 746. It says, meaning we have no footing in. Sorry, 746. You know what it is? I think I've lost the context of where that was coming from because I've said so much. So I'm trying to remember what I said that would actually lead to that would fit that comment. But it's fine. Not to worry. we want to stay on topic right now. So 0756 9968143. I'll give it again, 0753 9968143. In text message reads, in Parliament, even on own issue. It perhaps goes back to the develop. No, if we're talking about the development, the social engineering, this is coming from top down. It's not even something that this is coming from top down. It's not something that the local authority is controlling. It's like they're just acting on instructions as opposed to consulting with us as the people within the area on how to develop the area. So 0753 9968143, 0753 9968143. It would be good to hear from women from every generation to kind of get an idea about that. But with a lot of young, do you feel that there's a transition or a different age outlook of what beauty is to Black women? Because with young Black girls, they have that are preteen, they have pride in their beauty. Young Black girls, you would classify themselves as beautiful, wouldn't they? Or would we still see, if we did a social experiment about what's beautiful, the white doll or the black doll, that the white doll will always still win out if there was a psychological profile test or something? How did you feel as a preteen growing up? Did you feel that there was beauty in yourself, or did you see beauty only within white women and how people viewed them?
That's a hard question to answer. I feel like, yes, there was beauty within our race. However, it was always demonstrated, or it was always represented, that white always overcomes your own race.
Do you think that's still the same now, or has things changed?
I feel like there's definitely been a push in regards to, like, starting from young, you have more representation within toys. Even if you watch cartoons, I feel like there needs to be more, but there's definitely been a push in showing representation of different races.
Are you a part of, is it Kim Possible? No, not, it wasn't Kim Possible, or was it the Proud Family generation?
Proud Family, yeah.
So you had that Black cartoon representation, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So with what can Black men do? What do you feel Black men don't do? What can Black men do to help to address this discrepancy? Because sometimes it's about us, right? And in reality, I think that sometimes, and this is where I don't knock Dominique, sometimes we put a negative where there's not truly a negative, because the media blinds us from seeing the whole picture. And I can agree with that sometimes we have to also look at things from a positive perspective. You know, the media would make it seem like there's no Black relationships, but if you go to certain places in London, you see a lot of successful Black relationships and strong Black love taking place. And it's not always seen right across the board, but it's there in the public's eye, but not the media's eye.
Okay, can you give me examples?
Okay, let me take this caller first. Call, you live. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, Dr. Sylvia Honey again.
Mm-hmm.
In regards to the question you just asked, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to give a very quick, simple example. For those young men who are in the music industry, those ones who like to call our women bitches and hoes and stuff like that, we can stop doing that. That's going to go a long way to trying to reestablishing positive images of Black women.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then also obviously that's going to filter down to, to people within a certain age group as well. So they're going to start having, better regards for our women.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
They need to stop doing that ASAP. I've never been a fan of them doing that. They raise women, raise Black women.
Okay.
Roger.
No worries. I mean, I understand that there's an artist by the name of Lila Ike. Lila, and then space, and it's Ike. I think Ike. I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name right. She's got quite a powerful song out there that's really underground success. But she doesn't get the push or the airplay that you would as what's her name? What's her name? The one Trust? No, is it Trust? Not Trust. Toast. Coffee. That's it. So Coffee is getting a big push at the moment, but Lila isn't. You know what I'm saying? So is it that the industry is selective with women and that they push across with a certain type of message? And should everyone get that push? You know, there was a recent documentary that I saw that talked about that in the United States, the record producers and the distributors were told not to push certain music that were of a certain type of positive messaging. It had to be negative, and this tied into the criminal justice bill in terms of promoting crime and violence and that kind of stuff, so that they could boost the prison population. Do you feel that music has an impact negatively towards women, for the fact that you have so much female artists that join in with those kind of language in the music?
I guess it's a case of, like with the N-word, it's kind of trying to reclaim that and profit off of it. So whereas before the music industry is mainly profited off of men, women now understand we can profit off it too. So if we're going to exploit the image, then therefore it should be exploited from the person that is being used against. So I guess now I think women understand that there's money to be made off of it, and therefore we're going to use that avenue to make money. The other thing that I wanted to say as well is that there's this constant pitting of artists or females against each other. Like there's only one space for a black woman to appear. So when you gave the example of Coffee's being promoted, she should be promoted. She produces good music. It shouldn't be a case of why is one female artist being promoted over the other. It's just a case of why isn't there more space for black women to represent? Why is it only one space?
And why do you feel that there isn't more space?
Because it always comes down to that narrative of token.
So there's
only a token spot, and you'll just be happy for that token spot.
So you feel like Coffee's the token spot at the moment?
I wouldn't say she was the token spot. I'm just saying it comes down to that narrative of there's only one space, or it's often portrayed as one. There's only one person that can be in the foreground.
Interesting. So what can, going back to my original topic, my original question before the phone rang, what can black men do to better assist and help the situation?
So when a black woman has a fight, instead of coming against it and trying to tear down that fight, black men need to assist in that fight. Hence why, like, if you want to speak about Black Lives Matter, women went out, men, and every race went out and was the foreground of that fight. So it's not a case of, it's just recognizing the struggles and trying to assist in the struggles instead of trying to tear it down.
So where do you feel that we have torn down the sisters for you to require to make that statement?
Image.
In what way?
Okay, I'm going to go back to Lupita. When Lupita came out, several black men came out and criticized her image.
Like?
So, who's the NBA football player?
NBA football player.
Basketball player. I'm not sure if it's
I don't know any NBA basketball player apart from Kobe and LeBron. If it ain't none of them, NBA, I don't like basketball. You know what I mean? So I can't tell you. Text message reads, it's my personal opinion that it is incongruous to be a black man and be a supporter of Donald Trump. If he was a Democrat, I would say the same thing too. You can't extricate the personality of a leader from the electability of that political party. A recent case in point is what happened to Jeremy Corbyn. Because of his personalities, members of his own political party worked against his chances of electability. I don't like Trump simply because his actions, views, and pronouncements are too far right and consequently not in the interest of black people. For want of a better terminology, hailings to Omega Radio. Please keep up the good work. Pardon us. Okay. Big up yourself now. Yeah, okay, sorry. Carry on. So, NBA star Gilbert Arenas.
Mhm.
So he apologized to her for his colorist remark.
Yeah.
So okay, so what? So he was saying that she was too black then, or something.
He said that in geography, which wasn't needed, and especially in context. If it's always making a comment where it's not needed.
So we're talking about dark skinned sisters then, per se.
It does. I'm just giving a dark skin example.
Mm-hmm. So
a dark skin example,
Mhm.
but obviously there's comments across the board.
Yeah.
But that's the first one that came to my head.
Okay, so you're saying once the woman has a 4C texture there, there's an issue, seems for most people, or is it more you get it right across the board, even in other softer textures, as the saying will go, for a better word?
I mean, there's feature. I'm saying once there's a black feature, there's always a comment. So it's always a case of, oh, well, she shouldn't have had this or she shouldn't have had that, and it's always associated to your Africanness.
So, but you see, stepping back to a point you've made earlier to say that it's women taking back the power and the responsibility, and I made mention about conservatism earlier, where I used the black female American activist Candace Owens and her comparison with Cardi B. And one of the things from that comparison that she made with Cardi B was that righteous aspect of looking down on Cardi B, whereas you made mention that empowerment in that liberal thinking and liberal accepting of who you are and your features and your bodily features. How do we get that fine balance without becoming too derogatory, but yet being proud of your sex and sexuality and your features within that as a woman, as well as the intellectual aspect of things?
More representation.
So you feel that it's about media representation? Or are you talking about, because when you say representation, right?
Mm-hmm.
How are we to be represented when we say more representation? In music or in academic circles, or where is this representation needed?
In all aspects. If you look at all aspects, there's always one narrative that is shown.
So text like what? Explain. It's a bit broad. I don't mean to be pedantic, but I'm trying to be technically detailed, so I can understand. No examples. I'll make it simpler then. So let's say, for example, I'm looking at a scenario where I'm pushing out images for a music video.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen music videos with like black females in it, and I've seen music videos with like white females and a mixture.
Mm-hmm.
Representation there is good, right? Or would you say that there needs to be more in that aspect of things?
It depends on what they're portraying.
So you feel like the ones with black females is always too derogatory?
Yeah, if it's a case where a certain image is only being portrayed, and then you need if a particular race is only showing a certain image, if that makes sense, then
so I kind of get what you mean. Let me see if I can fill in the gap. Are you saying then it's fine, we got representation in all walks, but it's excessive in those representations, and always pushes the extreme? So in music videos, is always extreme overt sexuality, whereas we can be balanced and healthy and clean looking as well. There can be a wider diversity because you get that in with other races. Do we make music? Do we make music that would actually promote that imagery though? Because that's the next thing. Because our music genres this goes back to the documentary that I saw. Our music genres are quite inextricably hard to prize away from violence or extreme sexuality. The conscious music is a very marginalized area. So this is a universal effort then, not just a simple view and approach. It's a monumental task. So based on that, it's a big task. It's a big ask because you'd have to change not only television but also music if it's an imagery thing. So it's a massive task. What can individuals themselves do? What do you as a woman do to set an example for those younger than you looking up to you perhaps, or looking at you as an older female?
I don't want to answer that question.
Or do you do anything?
In regards to, I guess, the way that my exterior looks, I wear my natural hair. I don't tend to dress in a certain demeanor. I don't know how to answer that question. I don't know.
You know, because I mean, I remember growing up. One of the things that I used to do on public transport is I used to read a lot. You know, on the train, on the bus, because I felt that, you know, it's something that you don't see. So I used to bring, whenever I had to travel to wherever I need to go, I used to have my books and I used to sit there and read on the train, because I felt it. Not only was I getting the information I was seeking from the book, it was a good time to assimilate that information. But I saw a lot of youngsters that would stare at me whilst I was reading. I dressed like any other youngster on the street, but I was also reading. So for me, I made a concerted effort to actually do that. The reason I'm asking that is because I don't hold women to accountability about their images, but I wonder if they take on that image based on representation of what they want to impact to a younger audience. Does that make sense? So I can take on an imagery that I want to take, that I'm showing to my peer groups, and my peer group might look at it to say, but I also take and make a concerted effort to think, what does a younger audience see, and how can I be inspirational to a younger audience? I mean, not everyone's going to be like me, but I appreciate that it is what it is in that sense, and it's not for me. I'm not saying that me doing that is the right way and someone who's not doing that is the wrong way. It's just my take on the scenario. Okay, so thank you for allowing me to pick your brain. I see no one's called in to support you on the notion, you know what I mean? So we'll summarize anyway the show. You know what I mean? It's been a quiet one this week, but nonetheless, thank you for everyone that's listening out there in Radio Land silently. It's been the doctor's surgery. What we covered this week? We've covered COVID, second lockdown issues. We've covered Ice Cube and Trump. In regards to the text message, the text message from Nas that's talking about Donald Trump taking not into account Joe Biden, a politician. You see, we have to get past the notion that because you don't like someone, you go with the other guy. We have to also get past that notion, because when we look at it for the literal nature of it, we have a live caller. Call your live. What's your name? Where you calling from? Hello?
Yes. I just turned on the radio. I don't know if it's interviewing somebody. A woman.
Yeah, the producer and I was just having a chat around black women and what black women want, just as a measure for Black History Month. Mhm.
Oh, okay. Because I was saying he was asking some question and the person was answering, and it was so informative and he was just, but I don't know what it was. I just came on and turned on the radio. So he was asking question and fucking answering them at the same time.
No, it was more so of trying to dissect the situation. It wasn't really to put her on the spot. It was just more so to get. Mm. Did you wanted to add something to it?
No, I just at least the last 30 seconds, the last few talking I hear on me, I say I ask some questions and the person just seems to be reserved, but I don't know what it was about. So I'm just listening.
Okay. No, it was more so just like it's the finding the words to explain and the examples. It was impromptu. It was impromptu. It wasn't planned. Oh, she was answering. I don't know if you guys weren't hearing it. She was answering.
Oh, I think I just turned on the radio. That's what I'm saying. You ask some question because, but it's okay.
Okay. All right. Cool. I'll summarize it anyway. Yeah, where are we? Yeah, so I was addressing the text message from Nas, and I was saying that basically people shouldn't be voting or not voting for someone based on likes and dislikes. When we look at the facts and the information around it, as said, Trump than the Democratic Biden campaign in terms of addressing a lot of the social ills. Not only that, Joe Biden's had 47 years in political office. And if you look at what he's done in those 47 years, he's done a lot of things that would be frowned on and would have been used to completely denigrate Trump. Now, I'm not saying Trump's an angel, and I'm not saying he's, anyone that should be hailed as a hero or a savior. I'm saying of the two candidates and the policies and procedures that I've seen and the behaviors of those candidates, I would still lean towards Donald Trump because he's got a record of doing things quite that are frowned on towards black people, and he's got a record of doing things that have been seen as being quite helpful towards black people as well. When we look at Joe Biden has sent and helped to construct a policy that has sent thousands to prison, tens of thousands to prison in America, where the black man in America is walking collateral, is a walking money for the prison system because of Joe Biden's influence and input. So whatever he wants to say, there's a lot of derogatory aspects of that I don't forgive in it, because to forgive is to say that what that was pardoned. No, can't do that. You know what I mean? And they say, as the text message reads, presidents and prime ministers are selected, not elected. Well, and that's why again, that still goes for the voting for Trump, because he has no filter. Probably that's why they want to get rid of him so much. He has no filter. He says what he's saying, and at least you can, better the devil you know, because I ain't going to look at him as no savior, but better the devil you know. Yes, we have a live call. I'll call you live. What's the name you're calling from?
I'm calling from Kilburn. Just want to hear up the doctor's surgery for a nice program. Was listening to the topic, what does the black woman want? She need help from the black man as well. And the black man have to help to put the black woman back on the pedestal where she is. He have to give her all the support when he can give her. Likewise, she have to support the black man in all of our endeavors that we do. We always have to come to an understanding in everything. We're not going to get it
right off the bat because they know so we've been through a lot of confusion and everything.
Mhm.
Then you have these young black boys out there now who come in like, never say it that way, they discriminate against the sister then, which is our daughters and the future of tomorrow because they look on the black woman as trying to follow the white media and describe her as something horrible, and then they're going to look on either racist and try to call the woman them exotic and nice, and then find all sorts of complaint against the black woman, and then they will take up these other races of people and make it look like say they're better than our one. No, it's not go like that. It's not go like that. We now go say everybody know the plight of the black woman, and everybody know the plight of the black woman. And them know say the black man, them get a horrible time in the West, just like the sister, them get a horrible time. And some of them are strengthened up mentally now, when them can say it, what them actually want and what them need. But my thing to it is just that we need to support her in everything. We not agree with everything because it's just something like that. If you think she's going to do something wrong, you have to give your advice and you talk. Sometimes, you know what, we need to reach a point of understanding where she will say, okay then, and it can say, okay then, let's try a different route then, because this one looks like it will bring a bit of a disaster. But as the saying goes, not need a triangle of failure. But the black man needs to support the black woman as much as it can, put her back on the pedestal where she belongs. Once she's the God of the universe, and him and the God of the universe as well. But we have to support the black woman in every endeavor that we have, and we want these young generation and some of these older men to stop discriminating against the black woman and make her out to be the most horriblest thing, because she's not. When you talk about horribility of other races and you look at the European woman and she sit down and she allow her husband to commit all sort of wicked atrocities against other race, and she says nothing. Or is she not evil as well?
That's right. I would
She
say
don't
so.
say nothing. She go along with that man and he could have killed billions of people and it means nothing to her, but they don't want to look at it like that. So I'm always there to support the black woman. So no matter what she stay or where you want to call her, she will get my support until the day. We're not physically there no more. So I always have to support the black woman, and the black man need to support her and push her back where she is. But she have to overstand though. Once she get back where she's supposed to belong, don't become big-headed now. Don't become big-headed and forget what we are trying from with the black man. That's all I'm going to say. And we get that thing, Joe Biden, that 90,000 black man, that's how much family that man ruined, and nobody sees that. Everybody wants to look past that. Oh, you compensate that Joe Biden.
Exactly.
Get them 680,000 black men back out of prison and put them back with their family.
Exactly. All right.
Yeah, that's me for now.
Yeah, man. Yeah, respect for that.
Yeah.
I think that's a perfect way to wrap up the whole thing there. That's a perfect summary. So until next week, it's been the doctor's surgery. What this text message reads so quick. I don't like Trump because he don't like black people, period. Again, if Trump was a Democrat, I would not vote for it. No, that is foolishness. You know, there was a time in America where the only person that was loaning business setup loans to black folks was Donald Trump and his organizations. Check that out. You're listening to the media now, you're not listening to your own research. You're listening to the Democratic liberal media. And I can't say it no other way than that. I'm sorry, I had to say it like that. Until next week, take care and give care. Look after yourself, London.